Jim Henson, creator of The Muppets, and George Lucas, creator of Star Wars, team up to take you on a magical journey to a world of fantasy and adventure.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
The dazzling world of Labyrinth.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back.
I've been waiting my entire life to talk about this movie.
We have.
With friends.
We've kept this one in our back pocket.
Absolutely.
And now is the time.
Yes, indeed. Everybody out there listening, welcome back to the show. My name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay. We
Yes.
took the show on the road.
We did.
Mm-hmm. We are recording live from Joshua Tree.
Live from Joshua
the
Tree.
beautiful
How about
desert.
that? It's mystical out here.
It's very mystical.
Much like
the movie that we're covering, yes.
Yes, indeed.
We had a very good friend of ours. He was last on for one of our Christmas episodes, Pee-wee's Christmas special.
Yes.
Very good friend of ours. We have not seen you for, at this point, years. Jareth Anderson, welcome back
to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And
Welcome
we watched Labyrinth, released June 27th, 1986, directed by Jim Henson, written by Terry Jones, and starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelley.
Yes. I mean, the iconic David Bowie, visual everything in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The full package.
Thank you.
Quite literally the full package, yes.
Thank you for that. This movie launched 1,000 sexual awakenings.
Yeah.
Girls and boys.
Girls and
across
boys
the
alike,
land.
yep.
Yeah, David Bowie, the look, everything. The music.
It's actually the term mask for mask comes
There-
from the ball scene.
Very good. Oh, the ball scene.
Oh, we have so much to
Scene is
talk
a ball
about.
scene. But
Every scene with Jareth the Goblin King is the ball scene. But I mean, yeah, I have a lot to talk about. The ball, the masquerade. There's a whole we're gonna get into it, but the whole Jareth's masked ball is like a thing that you can buy tickets and go to today.
Yeah.
This is one of the problems with the fact that you let me help do this with you.
Yeah.
Is you could tell I'm tripping up on my words because I care way too much.
So deeply.
I'm dissociated. I already skipped straight to the ball scene.
That's
okay.
Masquerade.
That's okay.
I'm going to try to calm down and breathe. But,
Okay.
I'm pumped.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start off talking about our history with this movie, first time watching it, if you can remember, and then we'll jump in, do our deep dive. Do you remember the first time you saw this movie, Jareth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
It was. I just rented the videotape.
Sure.
My mom wouldn't take me to see it because it got bad reviews.
Oh, okay.
From some corners, and so I saw it on. I rented it from the video store, and then literally every Saturday, I would walk over and buy a cinnamon roll from the donut shop and watch it thereafter. And
Love
I
it.
wore that copy out.
Love it.
You would go rent it weekly?
Literally weekly, every Saturday. Yeah.
I love that. Scott, do you remember when you first?
I have no memory of first watching this movie. I feel like I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have had to have been on a tape at my grandma's house. Just I'm not even sure what tape was it was recorded off the TV, and I'm not even sure what was on it.
Yeah.
But I just always have a memory of seeing this movie and being obsessed with it.
Can you tell me again what the release date was for this movie?
It was June of 1986.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my younger brother was born late August of 1986. And I have a distinct memory of my mother taking me to this movie in the theater. So she's 7 months pregnant.
Sure.
And it was just me. She didn't take my older sister. I don't know why Amy wasn't there. Unless I just blocked her out. Amy, if you're listening and you were there, sorry. I just have a memory of mom and me going to this movie. Walking in a little late, but credits. I feel like we saw the CGI owl at the beginning of this
Big deal.
this movie.
That was one of the first I mean, probably real things replicated in a computer.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And so I remember seeing it in the theater. Just being fascinated. It's one of those things where, as a kid, this is one of those movies. We kind of talk about it when you have it in your kind of memory of what this movie is. You've seen it so many times, and you kind of let certain things go. And this is one of those movies that people that come to
a lot of the kookiness of it.
People that come to it fresh as an adult are just like, oh man, that Jennifer Connelley.
We were watching it last night with Jared's boyfriend Michael, and he kind of had the same thing, and Michael had never seen it.
Wait, you think people agree with Michael, who is critical of her?
I do. I've shown this to friends who are just like, why is she so whiny? Why, the songs are corny. Like, what is going? Yeah.
Can you tell? I really cannot absorb.
I know.
Any
Same.
of that.
I know.
I can hear it, but I'm just like,
I disagree. Yeah, no, I'm just like, like we were saying last night, Sarah is established at the beginning of this movie. Like you said, a horse girl, a theater kid, dramatic.
It turns out she wanted to be a veterinarian like every other horse girl, like Jennifer Connelley.
Oh, okay.
And then she was too pretty to exist, and so they started putting her in commercials. Literally what happened, and then she's like, I guess this pays.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I know that if you were to look at Jennifer Connelly's career at this point, she had just made a movie with Dario Argento.
Yeah.
And I think that was... I don't even know the success of that weird movie where she can talk to bugs.
Yeah.
But anyways...
I don't know what it is, but I heard it.
And she ended up recording a song from that movie that charted in Japan.
Love it. Love
it. Oh, did you not know that?
Love it. So
yeah.
cool.
She had like a minor pop hit in Japan. I remember when she was doing press for some movie a few years ago, she talked about it on Graham Norton.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, when I'm in the theater with my 7-month pregnant mother watching this movie, I just remember thinking, Sarah, Jennifer Connelly. First of all, I remember thinking that she looked to me like a grown woman. Like, I didn't get like child from her. I get it now when I watch it. She looks like a kid.
Yeah,
and especially
she looks like a 15-year-old.
Especially because we know what Jennifer Connelly looks like now and all that. But as a kid, it's that thing where as a kid, like anybody over the age of like 15 is just a grown up to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the kids in high school just look like parents, grandparents, you know what I mean? So to me, I was just like, who's this beautiful woman, just like captivated by her enchanting beauty?
Those iconic eyebrows.
Iconic brows.
Mm-hmm.
And they
the whole movie is about eyebrows.
It is a very eyebrow heavy experience. But they did this really interesting thing with like her, we were talking last night about this like flowing, peasant top that she's wearing with the vest.
And then she costume changes into a prince blouse.
Yeah.
It's a purple rain.
Yeah. But it's like I think that's a very conscious choice, like Jim Henson. Like it's set in this magical like fairyland. So yes, she's a modern 80s teenager. She's wearing jeans, but she's also like this theater girl. So she's going to wear the prince blouse and so she kind of fits in visually into the world and not look
you can drop her in
and
she is the Alice of this movie
and visually she looks like this blouse, this vest, all this, she doesn't stand out too much, but then when you look at her, she's wearing jeans, she's a modern girl.
I think that's one of the things people are missing is because they're talking about like her performance or the tone or it's a visual movie. It's sort of more of a painting and an experience than it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it's just things just happen and then they happen and then they happen. It's not necessarily...
They're little vignettes. Yeah. And then obviously the music.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, so good.
So
the score and the David Bowie songs are really well.
And they mix so well together.
Yeah.
Right.
Too. It's not like something like Batman where the Prince songs and the Danny Elfman songs don't really kind of match up.
Right.
In this, it does feel like it's all super, in the words of Nina Garcia, cohesive.
Yeah. The composer, Trevor Jones, and David Bowie were on the same page.
Yeah.
And probably collaborated with each other for the songs and the score.
Yeah. Which makes me think of, we have to talk about David Bowie. as the Goblin King, right? And we have to talk about everything: the look, the music, all that.
Yeah, and it's not just about eyebrows; it's also about baby abuse. We should get to that.
Throwing babies in the air.
Well, if you notice, that baby's crying in every scene, and really crying,
surrounded by.
And do you know what he became later
scary
on?
Goblins.
I mean,
a puppeteer.
He's Brian Froud's baby son.
He's the son of the.
He's the son of the concept art
visual
guy.
designer, the concept artist,
and movies that made us gay. Brian Froud, painter of fairies.
Yes,
Yeah.
painter of fairies and goblins and creatures.
I'm not
but
quite
fairies mostly.
I'm not quite the same age as Toby.
He's got to be a little older because this movie's released in '86,
and his name is actually
his name's Toby.
His name is Toby.
Oh, really?
I think that Toby Froud was born in '84.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Peter, your mom is pregnant when you're watching it, and my mom and my evil stepdad had just had my sister.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, here we go. This is what we'll do.
Here's a damn
As soon as I
baby.
get
this
home,
is what I'm going
out
to do.
the
I'm
window,
going to wish this child
I'm
away.
going to put her in some visually interesting
some-
pajamas.
There's some
That'll really
tension.
pop.
There's some tension with the step parent too.
Those, yeah.
The whole thing, so the psychology, there's a reason why on Saturday morning I would escape into this movie and become a therapist later on to tell the story.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we're going to rewind a little back to the beginning. We're going to talk about Jareth the Goblin King.
Which is my name.
Sort of.
No one could have told me any different. I'm like, if you blur your ears a little bit, she's saying
Jared the entire time. But
my birthday, January 8th, David Bowie's birthday.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
right out of town.
Yeah, Capricorn goblins.
Goodness. What are the odds?
I'm a Capricorn goblin too. Yep.
Goblins. So, Jim Henson, the team, when they're developing this movie, their idea is the Goblin King has to be a pop star.
Yes.
Right. It's got to be a pop star. We want Bowie. If we can't get Bowie, who else could it be?
So I've always read Michael Jackson and Sting.
Right.
Were on sort of the B list.
And this is all children listening, legendary children. This is all and it's on YouTube, what do they call it? A contemporary, like behind the scenes. So from 1986 and 1985, they made this making of.
Yeah,
What-
it's beautiful.
Go watch it on
what
YouTube.
year? What year was Dark Crystal? Is that 84?
Dark Crystal's before this. I want to say it's 83. Yeah. So they say we want Bowie. If we can't get Bowie, we're going to go for Sting. We're going to go for MJ. What do we think about these two other options?
I mean,
as
it would
Goblin King?
be a completely different movie if somebody like Michael Jackson was in it. I mean, I guess 86 Michael Jackson, biggest star in the world. I
think they both would have been wonderful movies.
Yeah.
It could have worked, but it just would have been very different.
No, I think Michael would have worked pretty perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what happened later, so
Yeah,
it gets
yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know that I also would have lived for Prince in this.
Oh my God!
And something in my spirit says that
But
it must
then-
have come across the table.
They
at
had
least
to
once.
have to have.
But then, if you had
if Michael
Prince,
was
you
on
would
the
have had to
table.
have worked in like Sexy Ladies.
Well,
with
the
the dill.
sexual
Like a lot-
content is real in this.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
actually
it's
do
there.
talk about it,
Yeah,
and there has
yeah.
been lengthy discourse,
Absolutely.
maybe intercourse since.
Well,
we should talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're
too.
definitely going to get into that. I want to talk about the songs are written and performed by David Bowie. So
quickly. Apparently, they were like, "Do you want to be in this?"
Sure.
And he was like, a couple of weeks later.
I mean,
he
it
said,
makes
"How about
sense.
this?"
They're
Wow.
pretty short tracks too. So
They're good.
Probably
I'm so
so
obsessed.
good.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Well, the ball
The
scene.
ball,
Don't make me
the mouse
cry
ball.
this early. But they're all great.
They're all bangers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my least favorite is the Fire Guy song. I don't
Yeah.
really know why.
down with the fire.
I like the
I love that song.
Fireys. Yeah,
I love the Fireys. I love the
I
Fireys
like
as
it
a
too.
kid.
It's just they're all tied for the best for me.
Sure.
Of course,
But
probably
Falling Down.
Probably one
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
favorite was Dance Magic Dance. What was the song that we started
Underground.
the episode on?
Underground.
Underground.
So good.
Yeah.
When I was listening, when we were watching this movie last night, I'm just like, damn, have I been sleeping on Underground? Because it's
Yeah,
a fucking
I
banger.
think you have. So this is let's all again take you back in time. This is Let's Dance David Bowie era,
Yeah.
right? So like, what are the hits of this era? Let's Dance. Let's Dance.
China Girl.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
How familiar?
So this is a little bit more pop.
sure.
He would have been dancing in the streets with
With Mick.
with Mick, and he did the track with Tina Turner, or he performed with her live.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
How familiar
Fame,
were
maybe?
you both
Was
with
Fashion Fame?
David
and-
Bowie
Yeah,
before
yeah.
going into this movie?
I mean, those songs were really big on the radio. And my mom, being a young cha-cha mom as she was, we would listen to top 40 radio in the car. So I was very familiar with like the top pop hits of the day. So I knew the voice. I had to have just known his persona, but I was just, it wasn't like, who is this man? I was kind of like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
That like pop star looking kind of like Welcome to the Jungle wig.
Yes, some androgyny for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have had to have been introduced to David Bowie through this movie.
Me too.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things, too, that when I finally started to get a little older and I connected the dots of, oh, all of these songs that I constantly hear on the radio are by him.
Yeah.
That, like, I've always heard those
Right.
songs, but I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure who sang them.
Yeah.
And I remember when it finally clicked, like,
Yeah.
Starman, Let's Dance.
Well, that's what I'm
and China
saying.
Girl.
Like, he's gone
Yeah.
through so many phases and eras, and this is kind of like quote unquote later in his career when
And-
he's not quite as avant-garde anymore. He's a little bit more crossover. He's got the short, kind of like short flat top hair. You know,
And then
he's
he was
wearing
never that
suits.
accessible again.
Yes.
But always
Yeah.
obvious, legendary.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I went to see, they did a wonderful exhibit at major museums, and we were in Chicago, and I went and walked through it, and it was, I mean, so cool to see the Yoji Yamamoto outfit or whoever, those things. And then, but then when you get to this children's movie, and it's like your heart kind of leaps out.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome to see someone with such range culturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rare.
What are other movies where David Bowie acts?
Let's pull up the old IMDb and find out.
Okay.
I'm still fascinated by the
plays
idea.
Warhol?
Oh yeah.
The man who fell to earth. I've never seen Man Who Fell to Earth.
yeah.
Oh, he plays Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of
for
Christ,
crying
The
out loud.
Hunger, of course, Labyrinth,
The Hunger. Yeah.
The Prestige. He plays
Plays Tesla.
in
Yeah.
The Prestige.
Yeah, yeah.
We talked about a few episodes ago that Peter Jackson wanted him to be
Elrond.
Elrond, and it
Lord of
just
the
didn't
Rings.
quite work out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. The elf. Not quite king, just like the leader of the elves, which would have been great. Went to Hugo Weaving. Kind of had a David Bowie look. I'm still fascinated by Michael doing the songs and what kind of look they would have created for him. Because the thing is, and I'm going to dwell on this for a bit. We'll go away from it in a second. But like, you watch Captain EO, you watch The Wiz.
Yeah.
He's a very natural actor.
Sure.
He works really well on screen, I think. To me,
Especially like 80s Michael.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that he, Janet's a great actress as well, or a great actor as well, and I think Michael was a very natural actor, and I think he could have done this,
And he
role.
really wanted it. He wanted
Really
it for a very
wanted
long
it,
time.
yes.
He wanted to be
Yeah,
Marlon Brando.
I mean, he wanted this. He wanted Hook. He wanted
to probably
Jar Jar Binks.
He
wanted
probably
all these
wanted to
roles.
work with
Yeah.
Jim Henson too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, again, it gets a little dicey later on. It's probably for the best that he was not in this movie. But it's just that
Well, he
thing.
did work with George Lucas on
Yeah,
Captain EO,
on
and
Captain
George
EO.
Lucas produced Labyrinth. It was one of the
Right.
producers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's probably how he got, as far as he did in the conversation. But I think just the fact that Bowie was willing to do it and said yes, they're just like, all right, everybody.
Now, was George Lucas's
table.
involvement in this movie? Did he sort of come up with the story of the Goblin King?
I don't know how much
No.
story-wise. I think it was just a
Actually, Terry
producer.
Jones
Yeah.
from
The Flying Circus,
Monty Python,
Monty Python. Yeah.
was given the drawings from Frood,
Okay.
Yeah, right.
and he would look through them and connect with certain ones, and then when he would get to a spot in the story of like, and then what happens next, he would go, "Oh, this one speaks to me. Let's
Okay.
put him in
Okay.
there." That's what
so
he
then
says.
he
in
was
there.
That's
Terry
amazing.
was given the concept art
Yeah.
of
Yes.
Labyrinth, and he sort of formed the story.
and they're working
Yeah.
on that workshop of the puppets and all of the visual for a year and a half leading up to filming.
Oh yeah, at least yeah. I think George Lucas kind of at that time, I think he was just like whatever is at the like kind of cutting edge of like film technology.
Sure, and probably just wanted
I'm
to
gonna
partner,
produce
and
that,
probably just
yeah.
wanted to partner with Jim Henson too.
Yeah. So I think that was part of that. But, oh man, the puppets.
Wow.
So
yeah.
good.
It's just so beautiful. To look at.
Yeah.
And did you grow up on Dark Crystal? I think I asked
you
you this
said
earlier.
I still haven't seen Dark Crystal.
So good.
It's an issue. I'm working on
And
it.
Dark Crystal is one of those movies that it leaves some people cold.
Yeah.
Unlike Labyrinth, because there are no people in the Dark Crystal.
There's no human element.
Yeah.
in it.
There is no human element.
Yeah.
The only kind of people that you get are the little people stand-ins for the Gelflings when they're walking.
Well, there is one other property, and now I don't know if we want to confront this here and now, but we have been healing,
Sure,
so I don't know if we're
yeah.
ready to talk about it yet. But there was one other videotape that I would be watching after this on Saturday.
And that was
The original Willy Wonka.
Okay.
There's an Oompa Loompa in the corner that no one's talking about.
Listeners, I remember I posted on Facebook something of I like Willy Wonka, but boy, is this a weird movie where its tone is all over the place. And Jared took it very, very personally.
Well, your tone might have been a little more pointed. You might have said something about I wish that Gene Wilder was never born. I don't remember what it was.
I think that I mentioned that I think Gene Wilder is a little miscast in the role.
Oh well, geez, Louise.
Did you really
Listeners,
say that?
don't send me angry DMs.
Do
Try
not
not to black out again.
do not at him.
And then, I don't know. I was probably working on something in therapy at the time.
Don't
but,
get me wrong. I still love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
I know, but it wasn't worth taking our friendship to the brink. Because then Peter was like, "Stop this abuse. Stop angry texting us." And I apologize for that.
Oh, that's quite
all
all
good.
right. All these movies are very, very close to our hearts.
Well, it's such an important question about those two movies. Because obviously I think it's about not just the original Willy Wonka, but obviously about the Tim Burton one.
Right.
There's so much going on there culturally and with filmmaking that it is an interesting conversation. You just have to take your deep breaths, Jared.
Sure. So let's get back to the story of the Labyrinth. We talked a little bit about Sarah being a theater kid.
I used to love those opening scenes with her in the park. And it's like rainy, and she's doing
Well, that's the thing. She's the girl that goes to the park alone,
full costume,
not alone, with her dog, to just read lines from this book to no one.
And I take it that her mother was in a musical or stage adaptation called Labyrinth.
Well, I want
to
to talk about this book.
Yeah,
with these lines. What is the Labyrinth? It's to me, it looks like it's a play. You know, she's reading lines and she's trying to remember the lines and all.
And you get the images in her bedroom of her mother, who is an actress. Stuff that I never even paid attention to as a kid. That you kind of notice now. That I think it's just a little bit of Sarah's backstory.
Yeah, there's some trauma there. I didn't just bring up Willy Wonka to start shit. Oh wait, this is a Christian podcast, right?
No. You can.
We're explicit.
Curse.
It's the hero's journey, but like for children.
Yeah,
it's and because there's kind of a rain and a really sad backstory of Charlie, and so you come in knowing like she's got something to work through, and this is all of Roald Dahl's stories, and a lot of what Jim Henson does is adults can be kind of selfish,
right?
Yeah,
and the whole time she's dealing with
it's
selfish
hard to be
adults.
a kid.
Yeah. Jareth is selfish, and so is her dad and her mom, who are like, "Can you watch that? Bye." And then
well, see you later.
Yeah.
I always got though from the fabulous stepmother, I always got that she was trying.
Yeah.
She was being selfish and saying...
I think I have a little more sympathy with her now than I did when I was a kid.
Yeah. Because, she's saying, like, hey, if you had plans, fine, we'll get another babysitter. But you didn't say you had plans, so we thought you'd watch your fucking brother. Sorry. Yeah. Like, we're going out. We don't go out a lot. The baby's, getting to an age where I can leave him with you. You're old enough to watch him on your own. And you didn't tell me that you were, you had shit to do today. So to me, I thought stepmom is being totally reasonable. But again, this is me as an adult, 28-year-old man.
Yeah.
Sitting here.
And she keeps saying it isn't fair.
Man.
And there were things that probably were not fair, but she's sort of putting it on her stepmom.
Yeah. But again, you're right. When the dad is just like, she's like, fuck, man, that little girl, she's not giving me, she's not giving me an inch. And the dad's like, I'll go talk to her. And him going up to go talk to her is like, you good? Because we leaving.
Yeah.
Like, we out. You got him, right? You got him? Peace.
Yep, the lift is here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The lift was there because the minute she opens the door, they are out of the house.
Yeah.
They literally left the baby in the crib and said, deuces. Kid
Yeah,
rocks.
she had a lot of quick
Sarah,
transitions because
yeah.
even when she's trying to walk through the door, which we're about to get to, all of a sudden it's like, what?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about her room. Fabulous.
Oh, wow.
And
So much stuff
What's
in the room.
very cool about the production design, especially when you revisit this movie,
It's all in there.
it's all in there.
Yeah.
I
Of
didn't
that,
notice some of
every
the
single.
things. Yeah.
I mean, every single character that she meets
Yeah.
is somewhere in the room.
We talk about this a lot on this show, but watching these movies that we used to watch as kids on 19-inch square TVs, and we watched them over and over again until the tape
Yeah.
wore out. But our TV was small, fuzzy VHS quality. Now we're watching them on these 60-inch HD TVs. There's so much, and they're widescreen, things that were cut out of our VHS as a kid. So there's all this stuff in there that we're seeing now as an adult. But what I always noticed as a kid, and it bugged the shit out of me, she runs in her room and jumps on her bed, and it's like hard.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
There's no spring or bounce in it at all. And it's just, they were just like, well, it's not a mattress. She's not going to be sleeping in it. This is production design. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff going on. So it's not a mattress. It's like a hard, she jumps on it on her, like flat on her belly, like with her legs up. And it doesn't bounce. There's no give. It's just doof. And that always bugged me. I was like, all this design in this room, and they couldn't give her a mattress to jump on.
Well,
Watch it again, children.
I did notice a lot of the little secret things in the back because I scrutinized it every week, but
yeah.
I didn't know what Evita was. And you
Right.
just showed me
Right.
that last when we watched it. And then Lacage, there's a poster of Lacage. It
Yeah.
was trying to make you gay.
It
Yep.
really, yeah. There's a full-on, like, 12-inch, like, Barbie of Jareth.
Yeah.
Right next to her.
Yeah.
It's
on
not
her
even a
vanity.
Barbie. It's like a weird sculpture.
It's a weird, like,
I noticed
kind
Michael.
of like a Harlequin, like.
Yeah, even though he was
80s.
resistant to it, he noticed her. He loved her princess like canopy bed.
Oh, sure, yeah.
'cause
Obsessed with the Princess Canopy bed as a
yeah,
kid.
even though he's black-hearted, he
dark-sided?
he played with Barbies. His parents would let him play with Barbies.
Like Scott's parents.
Oh, so lovely.
Yeah, the bedroom's amazing. But I mean, so this movie gets this show on the road.
yeah.
Like, we get to
It's off the
Jareth.
ground and running.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you get those cutaways of all the little goblins. Are they in the room? I used to think.
Are they in the mirror?
Are they in the mirror? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So this
yeah.
moment is just one of those moments of 80s children's movies that could just scare the living shit out of you. And you don't see this in kids' movies anymore.
Yeah.
Of a scene that's genuinely suspenseful.
She's walking through the room.
Yeah.
The lights are out. It's thunder. It's dark. It's like there's like little snickering behind her. It's a scary moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, though, when Toby's crying and she picks him up and she's like, stop crying. I'll say the words. Like, don't make me say the words. And it cuts to the shot of all the goblins kind of around each other. And they're like, they all wake up and they're like, oh shit, some kid out there is about to wish a child to us, right? Mm-hmm. That shit is so funny.
Yeah.
They are funny as fuck. They're like Three Stooges, just like, shut up, just like talking to each other, talking shit. Like, some of them look real dumb. Some of them are just like, their little voices, their little accents, like.
I wish.
Is she going to say it?
Say what?
You shut up. Listen, she's going to say the word.
I can bear it no longer. Goblin King, wherever you may be, take this child of mine far away from me.
Oh,
That's not it.
Quetzel and that rubbish. It doesn't even start with I wish.
Oh, Toby, stop it.
Yeah,
It kills me.
You are hooked at that
yeah.
point
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some shit's about to go down, and then there's puppets,
Yeah.
and then there's owls, and then there's these he's like juggling these crystals,
Ugh.
and it's just like, oh, where we
So
going? This is
when you
so
first
exciting.
get the big introduction to Jareth and he's juggling the glass balls, do you know how they did that scene?
Contact juggling. Yeah.
They had like a
Yeah, it's on
magician
the
or
thing.
someone in the back of him.
Yeah.
And they
Like
were
with his arms wrapped
They were
around.
like his arms wrapped
getting
around
handsy
him.
with
Yeah.
David
Yeah.
Bowie,
Yeah.
signing up.
Getting a little up close and personal with David Bowie. Yep.
Yeah, just kind of spooning but standing.
Yeah.
Contact juggling, is it very like 80s Renaissance fair? I mean, maybe it's like current Renaissance fair. I don't know. This movie is very ren-faire.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and I'm okay with it.
Category is ren-faire.
Yeah, wizard sleeves.
Yeah.
Peasant blouses.
So Jareth is the owl.
Yeah.
I believe he
Right,
is.
I think he is.
And
Yep.
later on in my life, I was always about
Yeah.
owls, and
Yeah.
I got a guitar and would write songs about them in my
Yeah.
20s, and now it just all starts to come together
Yeah.
of like, God, this stuff
Well-
is impressionable to you.
Also, what I noticed last night too is his final form in like white, like it's a very like owl like look.
Yeah.
It's the very last.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think it's after the Escher.
It's kind of horsehair, but like
It's kinda
feathery.
yeah, and it's all white, and it looks the most like. What kind of owl is that, Scott?
I was just about to Google that.
Is it a
actually.
barn owl? It's white. It's not snowy. I think it's a barn owl.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we first get Jareth in this scene. Glitter.
Yeah,
There-
he does a glitter bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's like somebody with like a leaf blower and like.
Do you know
It
how
is
hard that is to clean up?
You cannot.
It is
That poor stepmom.
It is a
Yeah.
white barn owl.
a white barn. See,
Yep.
told you.
Mhm. That's his
She's
Patronus
going to
form.
be vacuuming. She is going to be.
vacuuming all of that crap
Yeah.
for like weeks.
Do you remember those? Did you ever have those like non-electric like push?
Yeah, yeah, battery operated.
Yeah.
It looked like, what did that look like? Like a DeLorean, sort of like a little mini. I don't know what.
And my grandma had it, and she'd be like, "Here, like go vacuum," and I'd be like, "This
Yeah.
isn't a vacuum. This is a glorified."
This isn't taking
Brush.
up crap.
It's like
Yeah.
one of those Ghostbusters traps.
Yeah. A dustbuster.
A dustbuster.
Yeah.
It just came to mind.
You cannot get you cannot get all that glitter out of that carpet. Another thing that we noticed, and I mean this is David Bowie, like not 101, but this is David Bowie history. But what you really see in like a HD transfer and all that, and these close-ups, is his like blown out dilated eye.
So I did not know that
how-
until
yeah.
you told me. I was just like, wow, did they put a weird thing, weird
Yeah.
contact to make one of his pupils a little bigger?
Well, people always thought that he has two different eye colors. That one
My
of
mom
them's-
told me he had a
yeah.
glass eye, but it's just permanently dilated.
Right.
Did he just get hit in the face with something?
I forget
like,
what the accident
like
was.
hit in the eye?
Like Marsha Brady.
It was an accident, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, my nose. But it's like people like Manson and like
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson could
Like-
never like David Bowie
Like,
was
they
just,
do that to be cool.
this was part of his origin story.
Yeah.
He just looks crazy. But
It's
it's, like
so, yeah. But this is also when we get introduced to his Christmas downstairs. And should we talk about this here,
tell me.
or should we
Yeah,
talk about it
No.
all throughout?
His Christmas down to what?
His
business.
his between me.
Oh,
down
sure,
there.
yeah.
between
Mhm.
Yeah, he's sitting on a
Between me down
secret.
there. Yeah.
He's got the full package.
So
Yeah.
are these riding pants? These are riding pants. This is a riding uniform.
For me, they are.
I think.
Yeah.
What kind of riding are we talking? I think these are actually like horse riding
I think so, yeah.
pants.
So the conversation, I'm sure there were, several conversations aesthetically, but there
Yeah.
is an element of they wanted him, she's 14.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she is becoming a woman
Yes.
soon.
She's going to be
Or
going
now.
through her sexual awakening.
I'm not saying that this
Yep.
is appropriate.
No.
I'm just explaining what
Right.
the conversation was in
The
the
thought
80s,
process.
and they say that I don't know where they say this, but that he is a rock star, and they wanted he's a Goblin King, so they wanted there to be a certain sort of power, and there's a sexual charge to
Yeah.
it that
Yeah.
they want him to sort of be almost attractive to her. Maybe
Yeah.
not overtly in a sexual way, and it's not a cod-piece.
No.
He is known to be packing in real life.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if it's stuffed because they have talked about it. It does change size a little bit.
Okay.
But
I don't think it's stuffed.
No, I don't. But anyway, they were aware of it, and he
Yeah.
was uncomfortable with it.
Okay.
But he said, whatever, I'll just go along with it.
Because typically, like, when you think about it, you're like, well, what's different? What pants don't usually... It's like flat. It's almost just like he's wearing tights, right? And like, why couldn't the costume have had... What do normal pants have? Like, normal pants have a fly, a zipper, or a button situation. Okay. That's how normal pants, and normal pants with the fly don't look like that. They kind of, a fly situation with the zipper or buttons kind of mask the mound.
But he has this Ken mound with a meaty tuck.
Yeah, it is a very meaty tuck. And so I just always thought as a kid, like, normal, like, what if they just made them look like normal pants, but then he's wearing these like elaborate like leather coats with like asymmetrical
would normal pants
collars
just look out of place?
Would it just look weird?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe like a puffy pirate shirt just kind of untucked, covering that up.
I mean, I think it's correct. But then again, you know that I am been very brainwashed by all of this.
Yeah,
so this is my religion and whatever.
But are our eyes zoned in on it every time it's on screen?
Girl,
yes.
Movies that made you very, very gay.
Yeah, but is it okay? Yeah, absolutely. She's 14. She's looking.
I think it works.
But aside from that, there is this kind of like ox blood. I don't know if it's leather or like python or something. It's later on in the movie when they're trying to escape the dungeon. Okay, he's wearing this jacket. He's not wearing it the whole time, but it has this like asymmetrical lapel where one side the lapel is like huge.
Oh yeah,
like over
that
and
one right
side. There? No, it's not even that one. It's when they're in the oubliette. I'll find it. And it's like his costuming is just. Aside from what's going on between me down there, like the top part is also just like
great. The wig.
That one, yeah.
Okay, sure.
One. The wig. I mean, what is going on? I don't care. I love it.
It's a little. I guess it's a little like.
To me, it's Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the Jungle hairband.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit of a Tina Turner silhouette.
Yeah,
a little bit of a Tina Turner.
Yeah, the spikiness on the top.
I also
when
get
the wind
is
blowing, her hairography.
I also get a little Elvira.
Yeah.
Too,
oh,
with
very that.
The bouffant on top.
The bouffant and the long straight hair. Yep.
Yeah. Don't get us started. As soon as we get on Elvira, I know that both of you two could talk about the shaping of her hair for probably an hour and a half.
I can tell you what year it is by the height and the shape of that wig. But yeah, it's not quite the like hipster fashion shag situation.
It's a PC.
Yeah. Yeah.
A scrunch.
Yeah. Yeah. A little scissor. Yeah. And then it's like, I think his ultimate true form is...
You're doing scissor fingers, and I know it's the texture scissors.
Of course. Fingers or like teeth. Yeah. We'll get to it later on, but I think his true form is the ball, right? Like this final...
Stop doing this, please.
Yeah, the look,
I'm just starting to get grounded.
Yeah.
We're not even in the labyrinth yet.
Are the brows a little Bosco? It's like kind of like a reverse Bosco brow. It's kind of a reverse Bosco. If you like cut and paste.
Oh, you know what? That makeup artist did Stevie Nicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who designed that? Who was like, we're gonna do this insane, like crazy brow? Like, it's a cool look.
Yeah, I did it for Halloween.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna have to find those pictures.
Yeah, I don't know if I could fill out the costume like you could, but
I think Morgan McMichaels and Chad Michaels have both.
I've definitely seen Morgan as the Goblin King.
Yeah,
I would love someone to walk the runway, like really doing it. I would love to see someone, because you can really take it even further. Because David Bowie, there is.
So like fully.
I'm about to say naturalistic compared to an actual drag queen.
Right. Yeah. Drag it up even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be
Night of 1,000 Bowies. They should do that. Mm-hmm.
They could do that.
It would be interesting to have like a male, a male runway.
It's David Bowie, so it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
good idea. That's a great idea. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the actual, because there was the Stevie party that Night of 1,000 is based on from that movie. Anyway, So we're about to get in the labyrinth.
Yes. Okay. And the little elements in her bedroom, I think the biggest one is like the Escher.
I mean, I
stairs,
immediately
right?
noticed one of the fireys.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, relative to the theme of the labyrinth, I feel like what I love about the labyrinth is that there's logic puzzles in there,
Right.
but there's also like whimsy and things that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because she's just the way that Sarah figures it out is just like, because when she first gets in there, you know, and we meet Hoggle peeing in a fountain, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, to me, as a little, like, 7-year-old or 8-year-old in the theater,
Scandalous.
seeing this
A scandalo,
goblin peeing in the fountain in front of a girl, I was just like, I grasped my pearls
Well,
as a little kid.
and
I was
he's
like,
got-
oh my God.
I'm skipping ahead, but he's got
Subversive.
this thing with the jewels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a Wizard of Oz structure through the
Oh,
whole thing.
definitely. Yeah.
Because she meets 3 friends.
Yeah.
And if you take it, actually, Hoggle is I would say Hoggle is the Tin Man because he's
Right.
working through like a heart situation.
Sure.
And ultimately, they're all 3 about friendship.
So, you know,
Yeah.
But Didymus is definitely is about bravery.
The Cowardly Lion.
The
Yeah.
Cowardly Lion. I mean, I would say Hoggle is a little more
Scarecrow?
Scarecrow.
Well, he holds the Scarecrow role because
Yeah.
he's the
Yeah.
first one she meets,
Yeah.
and her
And
main.
And I think he's sort of the most personal connection that Sarah has with
Yeah.
all of them.
Almost
Yeah,
like the
if you're going to
most-
go literal with
Yeah,
their
yeah.
their qualities, Ludo has alternative intelligence. He's sort of got like musical intelligence, but didn't do that good
Neuroatypical.
on like FAFSA
Sure.
or his
Ludo.
SATs per se.
Yeah.
But he can sing like with rocks or whatever,
Right,
and
right.
that's useful too. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hoggle, though, first of all, this like creature design is crazy. Like, as a child, it never occurred to me that these words are not coming out of this.
Yeah, they said this is the centerpiece of like their work. That
Yeah.
it has the most going on
Yeah.
in it mechanically.
Yeah, it never occurred to me that this
Hoggle is-
creature
Hoggle-
is not saying these lines coming out of this mouth, and it's somebody off stage doing.
Hoggle
the
is
mouth thing.
is also
It's a little person.
his
It's
son.
a woman.
it's a woman. Yeah.
and it's voiced by his son.
It's
Yeah,
the voice is
and
Brian,
Hoggle has
yeah.
it. They show a couple of documentary. You notice he does some sort of
Oh, okay, little stances and poses and
puts
things.
his like hand on his hip or whatever.
Okay.
And he's dealing with it. This is not in Wizard of Oz. I think what he's dealing with also is shame a lot.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so the jewels are sort of compensating for that he doesn't always feel confident about himself.
Right.
He is scared.
Right.
So
Yeah.
of Jareth. So.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit last night about Hoggle's visual look, his brow game, and something that I don't know. I never really noticed it, but I was looking at it and I was like, he kind of looks like my friend's like Croatian dad. He's just like a little grizzled, like Eastern European man.
I said he's got Michael's eyebrows. Michael's Lithuanian. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I mean, is he a goblin? I guess.
He's almost like a goblin hybrid.
Because he has more human features than the other goblins running around. But he is a little bit more grotesque. But I don't know.
Were we at the Jim Henson exhibit at on the west side where we saw the giant Hoggle head, or is that at the Academy Museum?
That's not at the Academy Museum. That was at the traveling
at the
exhibit.
Skirball or
the
something?
Skirball,
Yeah.
yeah.
An actual one?
Yeah, I mean, supposedly, yeah.
Well, and wasn't that head found like someplace random,
Buried
like
underground.
at an airport in like the garbage or
Under
something?
Area 51.
It has a
That
crazy
sounds right.
story of that, like that piece was found somewhere.
Like in a case, like in a pelican case or something. Interesting. Well, okay. So there's a lot of like
It's the Black Dahlia of Henson paraphernalia.
yeah. There's a lot of like deep shit we can get into with the characters, but the thing about the labyrinth and things not being what they seem, and like the kind of logic puzzles, but also just things to kind of throw you off. Like Hoggle is like got his little pesticide.
Yeah,
And he's taking out the little fairies.
Oh, that's right. And fairies,
Yeah.
food makes fairies. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the little fairy that like comes up to the screen and like the fluttering wings and everything.
Is that
to
Kylie
me,
Minogue?
Is it Kylie Minogue? Yeah. To me as a kid, I was just like, that's it. That's what real fairies look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you grow up with Tinkerbell and you grow up with like,
and
I don't know,
and
just
real
like a strawberry shortcake.
And if you
kind of
pick up a
aesthetic.
real fairy, they're gonna bite the
Is she
shit
gonna
out of your
bite-
hand.
Yeah, she's gonna bite you, and those little things. That kind of like, I was always just drawn to this like darker kind of like more interesting take on what these magical creatures look like. And I was like, that's what a fairy really is going to look like, and I love that. And all the things with Sarah not finding her way into the labyrinth because she's not looking the right way. She's not used to looking, you know, like, the entrance is right in front of you. The worm. Oh.
That's the queer experience. They always say, because you had to hide, it splits you, and you inherently know about the blue and the red pill because you know that there's the real me, and then you're born naked and the rest is drag.
Yeah.
And so to go into the labyrinth and know that there are layers to everything, you're like, yeah, this speaks to me.
Yeah.
And some, we wouldn't have been able to put it to academic words or whatever.
Yeah. And she starts immediately meeting, little helpers along the way.
That cute ass little worm.
That little worm. I love it. He almost looked like a caterpillar, but I guess they couldn't really call it a caterpillar. That's like too close to Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
But like all of these things in this movie are there on the set for Jennifer Connelley to interact with.
Imagine?
Yeah.
Like the little like mossy eyeballs that are like following her around. All that shit is there.
And even just all of the shit that they put in the background of something rolling on the ground.
Yeah.
Chickens and
The tiny little forced perspective castle like on the top of the hill. All that stuff is there in the camera.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what makes these movies, to me, it's like you can just tell that they're there, they're physical.
It's a world that's inhabited.
Yeah. So yeah, she starts interacting with people. She kind of leaves Hoggle, or Hoggle kind of lets her go at first. There's interesting lines when she sees him, and he says, "Oh, it's you." When he first sees her,
really,
yeah. And then later on, when in the same conversation, he says his name's Hoggle, and she says her name's Sarah, and he says, "Yeah, figures." What does that mean? I will get to.
Was that what Karen was?
Crazy fan theory.
Was she a Karen in the 80s?
What's that?
In the 80s, was Sarah
Was
like
Sarah
a
like a Karen?
Yeah.
No. It's
I know,
not.
I'm joking.
Yeah. But it's very interesting, these lines of when he says, "Oh, it's you." Like he was expecting her.
I mean, is it the fan theory that her mother has?
No, it's. I mean, that's the easy one.
Has done the Labyrinth before?
No. It's not even that. Do you want me to read it now? Because it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, so this is from Reddit, and this was actually initially on Tumblr. In a time long ago, a sorcerer named Jareth fell in love with a girl named Sarah. Sarah's father and stepmother would not let her marry Jareth because they wanted to keep her as a servant to care for their other child. In a fit of rage, Jareth kidnapped the younger child, spirited away to the fairy world. In the new world, Jareth built a place for his Sarah. He turned the spoiled child into a goblin to be their servant. Time works differently in the Labyrinth. So in the time that it took him to build his kingdom, Sarah grew old and died. Overcome by grief and addled by a lifetime spent in a strange world filled with these monsters, Jareth goes mad. He refuses to believe that he lost his love, and he searches for Sarah from his castle. Sarah is a Hebrew name. It's common. It's old. Used for thousands of years. So he can find a dark-haired girl named Sarah with a younger sibling who feels that she's treated unfairly by her stepmother. So he kidnaps the younger child to his world to turn into a goblin. Perhaps the new Sarah dies on her quest to find her brother. Perhaps she wins him back and takes him back to her world. This is how Jareth becomes a Goblin King. Every goblin in the Goblin City is a child he stole and was not recovered by that Sarah. This is why he builds the maze. Let's see. There's another one in here.
Trauma. It's about trauma.
Yeah. This explains why Hoggle responds to his introduction to Sarah in the movie with, "That's what I figured." Because there were so many Sarahs.
I mean, it checks out.
Well, there's just these people really like connect with universal stories.
Yeah,
and she's the fool's journey from like a tarot deck, and that's
Well, and also kind of going to the Alice in Wonderland thing of a parable for a woman going on her journey of becoming a woman,
Becoming an adult.
becoming an adult, and she has to
and
sort
the,
of.
the stepmom says you should be dating. So
Yeah.
she's setting up the
Sort
fact
of,
that
yeah.
you are.
You're
in
old
the
enough.
beginning, she's
Yeah.
playing princess still, but she's having to face the fact that
And she has to figure out the labyrinth using her wits too, and not necessarily
and
like-
relationships. And she's
Yeah, yeah.
learning to like figure out who's my chosen family. You know, we choose our
We
family.
get to choose our family.
I mean, that's why that's why we like identify with Sarah's journey so much.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. And then she ends up at an Eyes Wide Shut party.
This crazy circuit party
Yeah, she's like she puts
that, like,
her keys in the bowl.
Jareth is throwing.
no,
Yep.
Yeah, an ice storm. And
Oh,
are we?
geez.
No, we're not. Are we there yet?
We're not there yet.
Okay. Oh my God.
I like the little kind of guards in front of the doors. That one of us tells the truth, and one of us always lies.
I am still trying to figure out that. Do
Oh,
you
what a
understand? You could
lie.
probably follow.
No,
it.
the way that she explains it, she's right.
I'm
Correct.
sure she is, but
Yeah.
my brain can't wrap.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
good
would
at
never have been
statistics.
able to figure it out that fast.
Yeah.
I would have just asked both of them, but you know.
She's one of those people that's like naturally really good at Dr. Mario without trying.
But if she is right, why does she fall down into the helping hands?
The handsy hands? Yeah.
The
I don't-
handsy hands.
I mean, it
shit.
probably just goes to show that there are no logic is sort of thrown out the window.
Right.
Yeah,
Even if she tries to reason
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah, Hoggle is.
she still
he's
picks
like,
the wrong. She
Yeah.
still picks the wrong door.
He's like organizing his closet and figuring out what's joyful,
Yeah.
and he closes it and opens it the other way, and he
Yeah.
can,
Well, also too, like at the very beginning with the worm, and he's like, "Oh, don't go that way."
Oh, right, that would have taken you straight.
to that castle.
Which is interesting because there's a joke, but like he's also it's kind of that thing of the journey is really what it's about, not the destination.
Yeah. But as a kid, I specifically remember being in the theater and him saying that and being like, "Oh, you stupid worm."
I get way too live, laugh, love about this movie. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We love it. We need that. Okay, she gets separated from Hoggle. She eventually meets up with Ludo next. Right.
Oh,
Love Ludo.
sweetie.
Yeah.
Oh,
His
my God.
that puppet's eyebrows are so expensive.
And Baby got back from behind.
Ludo has got a dump truck.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
yeah. BBL.
I think the designers who came up with Ludo's character, I think they went on to work for Pixar and designed all the moms.
Oh, well, and
Okay,
Sully,
sure.
but yeah.
And there's
And Sully, yeah.
You know, Warwick Davis is in this, and I try to
Is
figure
he?
out where.
Okay.
I think he might just be one of
He
the.
might just be little person Stan.
Yeah.
They
He
need
is.
somewhere.
full body goblin.
In Dance
When they
Magic
needed-
Magic Dance, there's like
Yeah.
5 or 10
Mhm.
people in.
Full body
there's
goblins.
plenty-
Yeah.
ton of scenes with full body goblins. But yeah.
What gets me on this viewing with Ludo is how not afraid Sarah is
of him, yeah.
of
Yeah.
him immediately.
Yeah.
That she gets him down. Like she's not like scared by this
Yeah.
giant creature being hung upside down.
Because at this
Yeah.
point she knows not everything as it seems in the labyrinth. So a big giant scary creature.
That
is
she gets
not gonna-
confident and
Yeah.
she gets out her lipstick and she starts.
Yeah.
Not yet, but she starts using the lipstick to like tell her way. She's using
sure.
strategy.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah, and using what
using
she
her power.
has,
Yeah.
available on her. Which, of course, being a girl, she would have makeup.
Right, I know. So, but she's also and she steals his Hoggle's jewels and is
Right,
kind of
yeah.
bartering with that.
Yeah,
like
true.
she's tricky.
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too into like the goblins hoarding their jewels and like what all that.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff when
Yeah.
those little creatures
Yeah.
on the top of the sticks sound vaguely Japanese,
Yeah.
and the you guys were saying the fire guys sound sort of Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
and you're
exotifying,
very.
basically.
I guess that works sort of around. I mean, we don't have to recap the whole thing. You were never that wild about the fireys.
You want to talk about a
I
circuit
love
party.
the fieries. Just
Yeah.
the song. I don't know. It's cool. It's a great song.
Great song.
I don't have much critique about the music. It gets a little repetitive, so like
Yeah,
it's not the
yeah.
first one that I play.
Sure, okay.
Because I play every other song on repeat. And as I've grown older, Within Me Without You, is that the last song?
Sure.
I'd hold the stars for no one. That one, I love that one,
Yeah.
even though that's the least accessible probably to some people.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I
the
can
Fire
see
Guys
that.
are so cool. And the
Yeah.
idea to start having their bodies come apart
Yeah.
is so brilliant.
And I love that image where she's climbing up Hoggle's rope, and you see
Their heads like
their little
flying
heads
there.
flying up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's
And they're talking to her.
very interesting about the Fire Guys is the scale of them.
Yeah.
Because you see them doing their little dances, you know, and their full body dances because they use this technique, and it was not blue screen. As we see in the behind the scenes feature, it's black velvet.
Okay.
Black velvet and a little boy smile.
Juju.
Season 15.
Drunk.
Oh, that's right. She was drunk and sweaty.
And she won. Well,
Yeah.
she won the lip sync.
I'm drunk and sweaty right now. On coffee.
But they use black velvet to do this scene. But they look a certain size, and then there are moments where they kind of like dogpile on Sarah to try and pull her head off, and they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
Their heads are just like these giant like puppets.
I
and
love
it's
hearing
very
these things.
interesting.
After I feel bad that I should have noticed every little
Yeah.
thing, but it's like I love.
you
but
ever-
to me, the scale's a little like
Well,
I
in the
didn't
behind the
expect it to be
scenes,
that
they
big.
show because it's two people doing
Yeah.
each one. That's
They
how,
have
yeah.
to.
Did you ever catch the voice of Elmo as one of them? Kevin Clash?
Yeah.
And I think that this was one of Kevin Clash's big gigs with Jim Henson.
Well, it's one of the earliest gigs with. He was like
Yeah.
really young when he started with.
yeah,
them.
he was probably...
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I know he was very, very young.
Yeah, he was young.
when he started with the team.
The placement of it too. I think it has a good rhythm of because it breaks it up. It's a different color story when you're there.
yeah. And it's the only song that's not sung by Bowie.
Yeah.
Right?
Bowie
Oh,
wrote
okay.
it, though.
No, yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote the songs, but it's the only one that he doesn't perform
Okay.
in the movie
Yeah,
on the
good call.
soundtrack. So, but yeah, this is when she's separated from Hoggle. She met Ludo, but she's separated from him because he kind of falls down into a pit at one point. We get a lot of talk about the Bog of Eternal Stench, and it's like, ooh, what's the Bog of Eternal Stench? This one's for the kiddies. There's a lot of farting going on.
Yeah.
A lot of
Daytona
farting.
win.
Yeah, this is our Daytona win.
we get
sequence.
we
Love
get
it.
reunited
Kinda funny.
with Ludo there
yeah,
too.
we get reunited.
yeah.
But we meet Sir Didymus.
I love
my
Sir Didymus.
God. This is the
And his noble
this is
steed.
the goofy Pluto
A dog riding a dog.
sort of.
A fox riding a dog. What?
Dynamic.
No, Sir Didymus is not a fox.
I think he's a terrier.
yeah, he's a little
terrier.
He's got to
Yeah.
be like a terrier.
This is because my dog is this fancy breed. People tell me, and
Sure.
and I got it from the pound, but I'm like, oh, she's Portuguese Podengo, so now I'm like, ha ta ta. And then when we're out in public and people say, oh, look at your little wired-haired terrier, it's like hate speech to me.
how dare you
But
call
I love
her.
how Sir Didymus is very that with his
Yes.
feathered cap, and, he speaks like, ugh.
Yeah, and when they have Sir Didymus standing up on his hind legs, and it's a full body
Yes.
shot of him standing,
So good.
like a marionette or something. So cute. His little
It's the
skinny
cutest
dog legs.
character,
I
yeah.
die.
And the relationship
I
with
die.
what's his Ambrosius.
Ambrosius, I love
his little riding crop.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there are shots of the dog, Ambrosius,
when
that
it goes to a
when it
puppet.
goes from puppet to real dog. I love it. I
Isn't
love just
there a
those.
dog
I
like
love
that in
those
Fraggle
little
Rock?
cutaways.
Yeah,
Yep.
he looks like Sprocket.
Is that the same dog as her dog in the beginning?
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
so. Yeah, it's the
It's
same kind
supposed
of
to be her dog.
The big shaggy dog.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is that?
I think it's just like
Scott?
sheepdog.
A sheepdog. Okay, that's very like Looney Tunes.
So
Like a big
cute.
sheepdog. I love though that Sir Didymus, being a tiny little dog, just takes on Ludo, just jumps
Yeah.
on top of him.
Oh, that's right.
Hitting him with the riding crop. It's very like Yoda beating up R2.
Yeah.
Just like hitting him with the riding crop, this little puppet. I die. It's so cute, so funny.
David Bowie has a riding crop or something in the
I
beginning.
think yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get there.
All right, hold on.
She-
Let me hold on.
You need your vape pen.
Where's my meds?
You know, like light up that incense.
Well, So, if I think you're saying what you're saying,
Yeah.
is there some? This is the peach.
Yeah.
So this is the poppies. This is
Yes.
the poppy field, and RuPaul
Yeah.
talks
Yeah.
about this. And this is speaking of vape pen. It's like there's a point in your life where the trials are very difficult, and when you bring in like drug elements or hallucinant, it's the
Yeah.
sense of relief.
Right.
Because a bog of eternal stench is scary. Stench is about shame also.
Yeah.
And she takes this peach, and it's interesting because sex is relief. It is life is hard. I need sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And what more sex, drugs, and rock and roll are you going to get than David Bowie in a good wig?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so something that I always notice about this that I don't know what it quite means, but the perspective of it, in addition to being sort of hallucinogenic, it's a little bit claustrophobic. They're
room
in
or
her
the ball?
space.
You can't get a good look of the room too.
Yeah, it is. It does feel trippy, and they're crowding her, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it, but there's something about she's trying to get through, and
They're all
now
laughing
she's
at
in
her too.
full beat, full drag.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. First of all, Jareth gives Hoggle a peach to give to Sarah. It's an enchanted peach. I mean, obviously, it's giving us. What is it giving? But what are you giving? But what are you giving?
I mean,
But what are you giving?
I mean, kind of.
It's giving me Snow White.
The obvious thing would be
Yeah.
Adam and Eve. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
but
Scott! Wow. Oh, and he
That's-
turns into a snake. The owl turns
Yep.
into a snake in
Yeah.
the beginning too.
when he throws
the snake on
snake
her, she has it in her hands and it turns into scarves. There's some actual magic in this movie.
Yeah.
Like literal like magician shit in this movie. When the snake that she's holding turns into scarves, that's a magician trick.
Actually, scarves. Steven Tyler would have been a great.
Oh
Robin
my
King,
goodness.
Too. Here we go.
And Steven Tyler also would have been a good Elrond because who is his daughter? Liv Tyler.
This is why
Blowing my mind.
The Illuminati exists.
I mean, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So okay. So the peach, but it's giving me evil queen giving Snow White the apple. But it's not quite, and that's the thing about this movie to me. It's like it's these elements of other fairy tales, but kind of twisting them a little bit. So to me as a kid, I was like, well, obviously they couldn't give her the apple. That's a little too like Disney. That's a little too like Snow White. So it's going to be a peach, another fruit that she can bite
It's
into.
a pretty sexualized fruit.
I mean, yeah. So she bites this peach. She falls asleep, and yeah, then we get wigs upon wigs upon wigs.
And the song, doom, 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 down.
As
When
the world
I tell
falls down,
you,
right?
I would pause and go to the piano, and I could
learn it. Yeah.
And it just
Play along.
Such a cool. He's doing that full David Bowie croon.
Yes.
Oh, my heart.
So everybody's wearing these eyes wide shut masks, but they're very like Brian Froud. They're very goblin-esque.
It also
I
has
love
a
grotesque.
bacchanal sort of.
Yes.
I love
feeling.
Yeah.
I love Jareth's mask. It looks a little demonic.
Well, his,
Oh,
takes it off.
absolutely.
it's got the
Yeah.
little claw holding his mask. It's the stick with the claw at the end of it that's holding. That to me was like, that is fucking cool.
There are pearls hanging from the ceiling.
So Sarah's wigs upon wigs, stacked. Multiple wigs.
Yep.
She has like
By Vanity.
silver wire, like sculptural elements in the hair. That to me was always like,
I need to find a picture.
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
She has like pearls coming down from it. Her face is now full beat. She's wearing this like,
Her dress is giving me very
but what is it giving?
Glinda.
It's the Glinda puff,
Glinda, the Good Witch of the
poofy
North.
sleeves.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's like avant-garde challenge. Yeah,
Very
yeah,
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's avant-garde challenge.
And
What is-
everybody just walking next to her and laughing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they start laughing more and more.
It's
at her.
adulthood. She's now
Yes,
in
yeah.
adulthood, and when he does his little, he takes her by the waist, which is
Yeah.
a little bit, Me Too.
Yeah,
First of
sure,
all,
sure, yeah.
but no, it is. It's sort
Yeah.
of seductive, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I was processing that other than it was just such the full fantasy,
Right.
And the music is so beautiful. I don't. Is the music beautiful, or am I just
No, it is. It is. It's a great song. We have we have the soundtrack on vinyl. But when it comes on, I'm just like, oh, thank God, it's here.
Yeah, it's good
Like,
uses of saxophone.
So good. Oh my, the sax, the 80 sax. I love the I was talking about kind of like the magic trickery that they use in this movie. There's these shots where you see him and then a couple will like waltz in front of him and they'll waltz away and he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things where he's there and he like moves behind something or someone and he's just like disappears and then he appears behind her and like really close to her and grabs her waist and all that stuff.
And then does she break a mirror? Or
She throws a chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. She's inside the crystal bauble.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
right. That's right. Because there's a like a
yeah.
snow globe.
His magic is these crystals, these bubbles.
And everyone starts to float away.
Oh,
Holy
the
shit.
minute it shatters, everybody's and the furniture
starts-
and
Yeah.
everything starts
It is-
floating away.
I mean, is this
Dead.
just sort of
Dead.
Sarah coming to the realization that this is all wasting her time because she has better shit to do?
She's waking up from her
She's
poppy
waking
dream.
up.
Yeah.
She's waking up from her dream.
And what
Yep.
we were saying before is you don't get a good look at the room and how claustrophobic it is. And she is actually inside this bubble because when she gets to the edge of the room, very Coraline, when she gets to the edge of what he's made for her, there's nothing left. And it's the inside of the bubble. And so it's this distorted mirror situation. And that's what she breaks with the chair. And the bubble pops and everybody starts floating away. And it's very cool. Like, it's such a cool like shot and image and thought of like he created and constructed this world just inside of this tiny little crystal. And then she floats down into the trash heap. So I want to talk about the trash heap woman.
Yes. Love the trash heap woman.
Looking into my future.
Hoarders, Narnia, or whatever the fuck.
Hoarders buried alive. Yep.
Labyrinth edition.
Marie Kondo's Nightmare.
I don't think I ever noticed until this viewing is that there are other trash people walking
It's
around
so
back
creepy.
there.
I never picked up on
It's
that.
moving.
Yeah.
Like the trash heap is moving
That
and
little
there's
guy on the right.
Yeah, there's little puppet guys with like faces. So crazy.
And it's really next level, the ideas and the fantasy in that part.
Well,
So
especially
lovely.
when you are going into her little garbage hut and it's Sarah's bedroom.
Yeah.
When you go in, that's such a cool image.
You can see Wally like packing up trash. And
And so there's a part of this when I get older, I think that this part sort of hits me the most in the movie when revisiting it. Because it's the section of the movie of the trauma, like you mentioned, of holding on to your childhood.
Yeah.
Of that, you do kind of need to move on from childish things and to not hold on to the past. And we're all sort of guilty of that, of just holding on to certain things from your childhood that you won't let go. And I was kind of thinking of when you get the scenes of Sarah's bedroom, I was just kind of thinking, growing up, you have a childhood bedroom, and eventually you have to move out of it.
Yeah.
And all of your stuff is going to be gone. Just because you're growing up, you're moving on. And I always think it's really weird whenever parents just keep their kid's bedroom intact. I always thought it was weird.
yeah.
Like after you move out.
Like
Yeah,
after
yeah.
you move out.
Yeah. No, my parents were like, and this is the guest room.
Oh, same
and
with
this
my
is
my mom.
office.
I think flipped my bedroom to like a workout room the week that I went to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, you could have left it on the front porch. And she's like, Craigslist, buddy. Have you gone on eBay?
But yeah, just sort of that theme of having to just not to hold on to things
I mean,
from your past, especially material objects of your past.
Well, the tricky thing is they're really trauma is childhood. Your brain is so plastic. I'm a trauma therapist, sorry, but
okay.
Even if you went through Vietnam, some people really not handled it, but were able to heal quicker because they felt the support and their brain felt safe when they were younger. But the people that didn't get as much support when they were younger, that's when you really the idea of like flashing back to whatever the thing was.
Sure.
So the beautiful thing about these movies, this movie, anything where they just allow children to experience darkness, which children do more than anyone else. You don't have car keys or a credit card at that time.
Right.
And you have no power. And she says, it's not fair because that is the trauma of childhood. But what you do is you work it out with friends and relationships. And then it is time to kind of be able to just let things go. Which is so lovely And
Yeah.
but it's a dark scene. And
Yeah.
it's deep. They really went there.
It really is.
And especially sort of when you look at sort of the trauma of like hoarding. You were mentioning that, that just sort of a lot of hoarders, it's kind of, there's a lot going on.
The fact they let
like
her
trauma-wise.
follow Sarah into this like faux room and now you have this weird bizarro sort of situation, and she's like, oh, and here's your little game, and here's your little...
and you love this, and here's your bear. Yeah, it's interesting because when she first goes in, she's like, oh, I'm home. It was all a dream. Never mind. This is my bedroom. Closes the door. And then when she goes back to open the door again to say like, "Oh, Dad, like I'm back, I'm awake," also gives me like Coraline vibes. There's times when she comes back from the other mother's world and all that. But when she opens the door, it's not her house. It's still she never left the labyrinth, and the trash heap woman is like right there. Like, oh nope, you don't want to come back outside. Let's stay in here. Like, let's look at Mr. Bear. Let's look at this. You love this toy. Like, sit down. Here's your lipstick. Like, start playing with it. Sits her in front of the mirror. And for a minute, Sarah's like, oh, yeah, I do love all this crap. And it's just kind of sitting there, kind of like floating off. Yeah. It doesn't need... It's very like surfacey as a kid. We're just like, oh, ha, this lady's giving her all this stuff. She's turning her into another one of these junk people, piling it all up around her, around her back and everything. But then when she wakes up and breaks the mirror, and then the room starts destroying itself.
Yeah,
really
that
cool.
shot is wild.
When the walls,
because most of it looks in camera.
Yeah.
Of how they did it.
Yeah, totally all in camera with her right there. Yeah,
yeah.
And the friends pull her out of the junk heap to keep going into the Goblin City. Yeah, really cool.
Deep.
Yeah, yeah. The last little battle at the Goblin City.
It's whenever I revisit this movie, and even when I was a kid, I think I have the least patience with. I just want Sarah to just make it into the castle and to start to try to find Toby on the Escher steps.
Yeah.
I do love that big robot.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's like
Wizard of Oz.
That's like a big puppet. It's like all
I love that. I love that shot of Ludo in the little tower.
Oh yeah,
when he takes off the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because they keep referring to it as the Goblin City. We have to get to the Goblin City, and when they get there, it's like a little Goblin City.
It is.
It's a little Goblin neighborhood.
I say Wizard of Oz because it's Emerald City and there's this big mechanical.
It's a little Goblin mini town.
Yeah,
kind of.
No, it is very. It's very Wizard of Oz. Yeah, when they get to the gates and all that. Yeah, and it's a little Goblin mini town, and all the goblins they're the little Goblin houses. One of them, when Ludo does call the rocks and the boulders all come and like take out all the... One of them is like, he literally says, I'm going home. Yeah. And he goes inside his little house.
And then out of nowhere, isn't there an automatic weapon that starts...
There is a machine gun in there that starts shooting at them.
Definitely wouldn't, definitely wouldn't find that in a kid's movie now.
NRA is in this Henson film.
Because like there's cannons at one point, but the cannonballs have those little crazy bird goblins inside. Yeah. And they've got their little feet, and they're just like, It's so fascinating being your head. They're like the crazy little accents like that they use. I love. But yeah, the little bird guys live inside of the cannons. So it's like you think, okay, everything here is goblins. Everything is made, even the weapons and the ballistics. But then all of a sudden, full-on machine gun.
Yeah.
And that was a little like, ooh, I don't know about that. And this is the sound of like automatic weapons fired.
Definitely like the stakes raised. They do go full battle sequence.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, how do they end up in the Escher Palace?
So they're kind of overwhelmed by the goblins, so Ludo calls the rocks again, and the boulders come in, and it just
takes out all.
It just kind of takes out all the goblins, and they run away. So they're able to just walk into Jareth's castle, and they get to his throne room, and it's empty. And she's like, "Oh, I think
to do this."
They all say like, "Okay, well, let's go get Jareth. He's up at the top of the tower." And she says, "No, I have to do this on my own. That's just how it's done." And it's like, okay, and that's when the first time we get...
And sort of if we're going to be doing like these metaphors of that, Sarah has to make this journey by herself. She can get there with so much help, but sometimes in life you just have to do certain things by yourself.
Yeah. But also sometimes in life you need your friends.
Yep.
Should you need us. First time we get it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And that's when she goes up into the Escher painting. Really
and
cool.
We get this song. It's a little
Yeah.
more of an adult song. And the pacing is different. This is not like a verse chorus musical thing,
okay.
and which goes with the sense that there's no perspective and life is not cut and dry. It's abstract sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then it starts to be precarious because the baby is perched over there and that crystal ball.
Those shots of Toby Froud just like
Sitting on a
stair.
He's like, finally, I can just sit here and be cute. They're not poking me and making me cry like every other.
Like,
scene.
is there
Scaring me with puppet
like
goblins.
a set PA just a mere like
Holding his
steps
back.
away,
Yeah,
just like hand a little off camera so we can sit up and not fall over.
It's all perspective. He's not in any danger.
Yeah, he's sitting in a circle with Mary Kate and Ashley somewhere right now talking about it. I think what he went through.
I would love that. Yeah, and Sarah, like, she kind of figures out she can't get to Toby just by going up and down these stairs. It's not how the labyrinth works. It's not just like, I'm gonna climb this,
Yeah.
and find
Anyone who's been to a mall and is trying to look at the map and try to figure out where the fuck Sears is. Well, I'm never looking for Sears, but Hot Topic.
Sure, yeah.
It's impossible. So what is she? I forget. It's so weird. Like,
I'm really
it's
good at
so
those.
ingrained that. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say she just decides like, fuck this. I can't get to him.
She
normal way.
jumps.
She jumps off
Yeah.
the stair and just like it starts to break apart.
She's been doing that the whole movie. She's been letting go, looking in the mirror at her identity,
Yeah.
breaking it, and
Yeah.
then saying, "Yeah, figure it out."
Mm-hmm. And this is when we get to Jareth in his final horsehair owl form.
Oh my god! And this is
And
where
the
the wind
whites.
machine.
Yeah.
And this is where Beyonce's weave gets caught in the wind machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It tickled me pink.
What do we think about that? So, because now they're kind of in this like limbo space.
Yes. Yeah.
It's sort
it's
of
very
a
like
liminal space.
the
if you will.
end of never-ending story, floating through the void.
What's my name?
Yeah.
Priyanka. Oh, sorry.
Well, essentially, Sarah does the same thing that Nancy does in
At
Nightmare on Elm Street,
yeah.
in that she just sort of
takes his power away from him.
she takes his power away from him.
Yeah.
You have no
Yeah.
power over me.
Yeah. And this is the line that she kept
and
forgetting.
he tries to gaslight her, and he says,
Yeah.
if you, oh my God, this is like fucking,
Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave.
My kingdom is great. You have no power over me.
spousal abuse grooming number 101. Oh, but no, if you just do this for me, then I'll be your slave or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't say that it's not tempting if I was Sarah.
Just live with Jareth.
Just
in
to
the
live with
labyrinth.
Jareth in the castle
He
surrounded
says,
by the
fear
labyrinth.
me,
Yep.
love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave.
Oh my goodness.
Mama.
Slave. Do as I say, fear me. Now, if Sarah says, okay, I'll stay with you, what happens? Toby gets turned into a goblin?
Mm-hmm.
Or Toby gets to go free if she stays with him?
I think Toby has to turn into a goblin.
Okay. But then she gets to live as Sarah, as herself, and like rule over the goblins?
Real tea, I would have signed the contract.
I mean, I might stay.
For the alimony alone, the outfit, the dress. Do I get to keep the dress from the ball?
But
sequence?
is your only other human companion Jareth?
Well, you have all the goblins, and you have everybody. You have that little cute worm.
Mm-hmm.
It's Scientology, basically.
Sure. You have to sign your contract.
What's that woman that we've been looking for 20 years? Shelley.
Shelley, we found Shelley.
Shelley Miscavige.
No,
She's in the dungeon somewhere.
She took the
In the
deal.
labyrinth.
She said, "Fear
Oh,
you,
no.
maybe not, but love you and do as you say. Whatever. I'm your slave."
Oh my god! Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, if I say, okay, yes, I'll stay with you. Let Toby go back to the human world. I'll stay with you here and be your queen.
Listen,
in
the listeners
labyrinth.
don't know we have a photo of Leah Remini. Literally,
She's watching
next to
over
Prince.
us.
Yeah.
She's watching over us right now. Would I eventually get bored?
I was going to say, wouldn't you just... I mean, what is there to do in this castle?
Just
He's a
wander
good singer,
around the
though.
labyrinth. He's a great singer.
He's packing heat.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, all the goblins are just going to be like yes men. They would be able to style my hair.
Full hair and makeup,
Yeah.
full beat every day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they're goblins. They're kind of just like, I don't know.
I mean, Layla McQueen is probably a goblin.
Would they be constantly
No,
trying
it's
to,
dark
like,
there. I don't really
steal
want
my
to be.
jewelry?
The thing is, the problem is we've seen the neighborhood with that lady next door with the
so close by.
So you're right. No, I'd rather go back because her town, it looks like Astoria, Oregon, or something.
What
lovely.
is this town? That she lives in?
I mean, she lives in like.
Claremont?
She
Sierra
lives.
Madre?
It looks like she lives in like Heritage Square off the 110. These beautiful
Victorians,
old Victorian mansions.
Labyrinth it's about eyebrows, baby abuse, and real estate.
Oh my goodness! So if there was, for some crazy reason, the Labyrinth animated Saturday morning cartoon, and very like Beetlejuice style, she just got to go back and forth.
Sure.
Like
Okay.
it's just her and Jareth and their adventures
Well, and she gets to hang out with her friends
in the
too.
Goblin Kingdom, and she gets to go and
gets
hang out
the-
with Hoggle. And
Well, your fanfic thing says that there's like time frames and because Narnia is not.
very much. Yeah, the time doesn't add up. So
Yeah.
she could live with Jareth for 50 years and come back, and Toby's only like 4 years old,
Yeah.
right? Or even more.
Well,
time.
okay. So in the real world, I'll make this quick.
Do it.
The two parts of your brain, there's the rational and then there's the deeper emotional part of it. And the emotional part is disconnected from the chronology of any story that you go through. So it's beginning, middle, and end, and B, time. So that's why in a lot of these stories there's an out of time element when you're in sort of your journey and your identity and all of that stuff, and then you can check back into the real world, Goonies style, and like be going to get the groceries. So
Okay. All right.
isn't that kind of what you're talking about this, like you want to have your cake and eat it too?
Yeah.
I do too.
So in the animated series, she gets to just go back and forth. She can just like
Well, because everything in the room is connected anyways.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's the mechanism. She just has to say, "I wish you'd come in." It's getting boring.
Should you need us? And she's
Yeah.
just like, I need you.
Yeah.
And then they had a dance party with confetti.
Yeah, they all wake up and talk shit, and they go, "She didn't say I wish she would come and make it more interesting."
Oh, yeah.
And then she does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I guess it's that thing of never letting go of your that inner child. That it should always be there, even when you grow up.
And it is, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
You should always
lovely.
remember the experience of growing up and being a kid.
Yeah, it's sweet. It was. We just watched it. We're adults still. I'm having a good old time.
yeah. I mean, you've been to our apartment. I'm very much like Uncle Jesse.
Yeah.
Not Uncle Jesse, Uncle Joe.
I mean, we had mimosas, and I don't think at 14 Jennifer called. Well, who knows? She was probably at Studio 54 the next night. But
I mean, it's kind of a bummer to think that when this movie came out, it didn't do that well.
Right.
It was pretty.
isn't it weird how that happens?
It was
like,
pretty
several
hated
times?
critically. It pretty much underperformed. I think this movie was budgeted at $25 million. Probably went way over budget of what like they had originally thought this movie was going to clock in at.
Yeah.
And I think it maybe made 12.
Yeah.
So and
Oh, wow.
Trigger
also,
warning, the original Willy Wonka had a lot going on. If you've ever seen the behind the scenes of that, they had a very small budget. It was such a weird, strange.
Well, that was like
It was
a weird.
not a-
that
yeah,
was
it
like
was
a
not
weird,
a-
independently funded
Yeah.
movie. That
literally by a candy company, I think.
Love it.
There's what other ones? There's been several movies that became legendary later on, right?
well, I mean, a lot of these movies.
Wizard of
from-
Oz.
A lot of these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Did like okay,
Wizard of
I
Oz.
think.
Yeah,
I mean, a
yeah.
lot of the movies that we grew up with, primarily from the '80s, kind of when I think of movies like Legend, that movies that really underperformed, just these cool genre movies that, I mean, maybe it was just a little too much for certain audiences at the time that people really couldn't embrace it, but that's what we have to think with something like home video. That it was kind of
Seriously, yeah.
movies like this from the 80s that underperformed at the box office.
Yeah.
They were given a new life on home video.
I couldn't have found it.
Yeah.
It was accessible to me.
That-
And the amount that I spent on it each week, I could have bought the tape. But,
And probably
Yeah.
some of the first decade of movies that you could really do that with, because it's like anything pre-'80s.
Yeah.
They had their theatrical release. You went to them. You maybe caught them on a re-release or revival. But movies from the 80s, I mean, home video was becoming huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm curious. I would love to hear what what are the movies and the things now that are going to be like a couple of those things for kids that are happening during COVID or in the 2000s, 2010s, and how people that are younger relate to Labyrinth versus a Willy Wonka, Alice in Wonderland, or Wizard of Oz.
Right.
But I think that they're
sort
all
of
connected.
I also think people around our age tend to really gravitate towards
do you think
a property like
Do you
Labyrinth.
think gays actually do get into it as much as we do?
I hope so.
I hope so. I mean, I also
We'll
hope,
find out when this episode.
Because I get into Wizard of
drops.
Oz, and obviously
Oh,
that's
yeah.
way before our time.
Yeah.
I
for
also
sure.
hope that sort of young people know what this movie is.
Yeah,
If that you showed them an image of Jareth the Goblin King, they'll immediately know what it is. I would hope so.
Yeah. It's one of the things, like, it makes me think of how one of the roles that we play in society is that we do see the colors, and we understand that beauty is healing.
We get the nuances.
Yeah, and so a movie like this that is so visually interesting, and so it just feels like, they're not to be too navel gazing, but it's pretty much what we're doing. She gets out her makeup, and she draws the arrows that point the way, and it's
The very surfacey things.
the surfacey things.
Yeah.
They're meaningful.
Yeah.
It's not just. It is play, but play developmentally as you're getting older. Play is work. Play is relationship. It's learning to take your turn and have rhythm and stuff. And it's a lot of what she's doing is make believe, allowing her to be an adult successfully and survive, because it's a doggy dog world there.
Yeah.
Didymus.
Doggy dog.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids these days, they are taking to the newer Pixar movies, which are, everybody is saying that the new movies are all about generational trauma.
Sure.
Yeah.
And all these kids, all these
Encanto turning red.
Gen Zers are very in their feelings about their whole
It's
life.
we don't talk about Toby.
Yes. Yeah. And so the thing is, but they also, on the one hand, they're in their feelings all the time about everything. And they're like, generational trauma, we love it, representation. But they also have a weird pride in, we don't like your old people things. So
Is that old?
I don't know what that is.
Is that an old person movie?
David Bowie? I don't know her. Who is she? It's a real thing. I think they very much pride themselves on that is my dad. My dad.
Yeah,
listen to that. What is it? Right?
Well, you're supposed to.
Yeah,
When
and
you're-
every generation
Your
has
body
it.
tells you, in order to get out of the nest, you have to say oh, I hate if mom and dad think it's cool,
Right,
I don't,
right.
because I forming my own identity. But then in your 20s, then you start to Google,
Yeah.
oh, Olivia Rodrigo was taking notes from Nirvana,
Yeah.
or
Olivia
Alanis
Rodrigo
Morissette
is sort
or
of
Tori or
emulating herself off of Courtney Love.
well, actually, someone accused Olivia Rodrigo from taking a song. This is so crazy. I think from Elvis Costello.
Oh, for crying out loud.
They said, "Oh, it sounds like this Elvis Costello song," and he got on Twitter and he said, "What are you talking about? I stole that song from 3 other guys."
Yeah.
Sure. It's
This
all
girl's- she's fierce.
It's
Yeah.
all just a dragon that is eating its own tail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But you're right. It's annoying to be that person going, "How
Yeah,
dare you?"
yeah.
About.
Yeah.
But you'll come back.
Yeah. And I think they should give this movie a chance, because it is something that they can really tap into as far as how emotional
Well,
it
in
is.
our
and what
family-
it teaches you.
In our family, we lost our mentors because we were
Sure.
we were too young to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
being sexually promiscuous
Yeah.
and risking our lives.
Yeah.
And so now we have to figure out how to be the mentors for when the 20s and 30-year-olds
Right.
do look for mentors again
Right,
after
right.
their I'm too good for David Bowie teens. And I hope that, I mean, in some ways it's terrible that RuPaul has sort of commodified queer culture, but she's been teaching the children.
Yes.
In the first season, she would say, "This is Paris is burning.
Right.
This is Bunny. This is whatever."
Yeah.
And so we're doing that.
I mean, I'm predicting in the next season or two, there is either going to be a David Bowie musical or there is going to be
God.
a runway category of Night of 1,000 Bowies.
Speak it in existence. Scott.
Manifest that shit. We've got the universe on speed dial. But I do think there's a large quotient of people out there. I don't know if quotient's the right word, that do love this movie.
Oh,
and
definitely.
hold it
Yeah.
very dear to their heart.
I was being stupid last night, daydreaming, and I was thinking of, I think Duncan Jones is his son, who's a film director, and I was like, okay, this is my pitch to Ryan Murphy or someone terrible.
God.
Duncan Jones directs. Iman plays the magical king character,
Ooh.
and Jennifer Connelley comes back as some beautiful whatever. And Iman and David Bowie's daughter is 18 right now.
Okay.
And she plays the lead in going back into the labyrinth or
Ooh.
whatever, and maybe someone else comes in and helps with the music as well. But I'm like, why not?
I mean, they gave The Dark Crystal
Let's do it.
a 10-episode series on Netflix, so that might not be completely out of the question.
Yeah.
And the Dark Crystal Netflix series is beautiful.
It's called And Just Like That, She Goes Back to the Labyrinth.
I'm in.
Jareth is in Paris right now texting.
Now,
He only texts.
now, Peter,
Sends owls.
true
Yes.
Sophie's choice,
Uh-huh.
Labyrinth or Dark Crystal.
Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, and I can only watch one for the rest of time.
Yep.
I'm probably going to go Labyrinth because it has songs.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Scott, gun to your head. Gene Wilder or
geez.
Johnny.
Or Johnny Depp. I don't know. I do like that Bob.
Yeah,
I do like that page boy with
The
the
teeth.
buttons. The
He's got
teeth.
those post drag race veneers.
those flippers.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
All-Stars-
I'm gonna have
All-Stars
to. I'm gonna
veneers.
have to hold off on that question until I see the Timothy Chalamet
Oh,
Willy Wonka.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here saying, give it
Prequel.
another try.
Yep.
Sure, whatever. And if you ever want to talk about it further, I'm glad that we're healing. It really is.
I mentioned before, I do like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I just like to give its weird tone a hard time.
It's we've been this whole episode we've been talking about trauma and healing and stuff like that, and it wasn't about you at all. It's we do take these things kind of seriously because it was really helpful at the time.
I mean,
Yeah, totally.
that scene of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where they go through the
big
tunnel,
scene.
I mean, that ignited a whole generation of trauma just from that scene.
I'm making a shocked, stunned face because it is just with let's cut the head off a chicken and have a millipede go over someone's face in a children's movie. Yes,
the millipede
please.
on the face was scarier to me. The chicken, I never quite understood what was happening. But the millipede on the face was like, oh, hell no. Mama, no thank you. No ma'am, Pam.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, we can't recommend watching Labyrinth enough.
I mean, I'll forever be a Jennifer Connelly super fan.
Yeah.
Put it on Spotify. The whole album is there. There's a
yeah.
couple of even remixes that I was mentioning.
Oh, nice.
Jennifer
Yeah,
Connelly,
it's nice.
you deserve more than playing Tom Cruise's girlfriend in the new Top Gun sequel.
Wasn't she in one of the Hulk movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in.
She was in the Ang Lee
It's
Hulk,
just called
Hulk movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know what she does deserve? Paul Bettany.
Oh,
Hey,
hey.
girl,
Oh.
get it, girl. I bet she sings that Japanese single to him every night.
Oh, my God.
I'll have to find something of that single and post it on her Instagram.
Oh, good. Yeah, good call. I would love to hear it. I haven't.
On his birthdays, maybe she sings it. She breaks it out.
It's interesting when you listen to Jennifer Connelly. We have the new Blu-ray edition, and they do a new doc where they interview a lot of people that made it. Jennifer Connelly. I mean,
Wait, from Labyrinth?
For Labyrinth.
from
yeah,
Labyrinth.
yeah.
And she talks about when she did Labyrinth, she kind of knew who David Bowie was, but I mean, she was kind of like a Gen Zer of the 80s that she didn't immediately get the
Yeah.
references. She had heard of David Bowie,
Yeah.
but she
He has this
Yeah.
song called Sue, or In a Time of Crime or something. It's from his last record. There's a version that's horn based. It's got horns all the way through it. And a lot of times artists, they drop off, but he was dying and he was making this incredible song. Go find it. Find the version with the horns.
Yeah.
And it'll knock your socks off. His voice and the power. It's a stunning song. And
Yeah.
he was doing it for real. He was making some of his best work as he literally was fading away.
Wow.
He is incredible.
Yeah. Crazy. David. I mean, shit. It's David Bowie, man. Like,
I specifically remember where we were when we found out that he died.
yes.
It was right after the Golden Globes in 2016. We were on our couch with our good friends Ray and Jen, and our friend Ray was just like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
David.
It was the day
David Bowie
before
just
his birthday
died.
or our
Yep.
birthday.
But I specifically remember we had people over to watch the Golden Globes, and we were just hanging out afterwards.
And he died right before Prince?
Yeah, they both died around the same time. It was
Yeah.
a rough week. Yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy. Well,
And a part of me is thankful that when he did have cancer, we didn't know. That I would rather sort of find out that he's no longer with us than having to follow it in the news that David Bowie has terminal cancer and he doesn't have very much time. I would much rather have it just be like, get it over with. I don't need to know.
yeah.
I want to. Yeah, they gave us this fantasy, and it's okay sometimes to just enjoy and give people their privacy. Because Prince 2 just sort of dropped off.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah, crazy time. 2016. People did not like that year.
Yeah, a lot of people checked out.
Yeah.
It's the year that we lost Carrie Fisher, too.
Oh, man. Jeez Louise. Well, I mean, we have Labyrinth on Showtime. You can watch it on Showtime if you have the
Fubo
app.
or
Is it on Tubi or something?
We
Yeah,
own
something
it
like-
on Blu-ray.
We do. So we
it's
can
on
just-
Fubo.
There's a nice 4K
Anytime.
transfer to it.
For us by ourselves.
By Oprah.
Oprah VOD network. Fubo. For us by Oprah. Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up right now on Just Watch and see what else
That's
is
yeah.
on.
It's those are the two free ones, and then you can buy it everywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good, you guys. Yeah, look at that. Stream, watch now Fubo, and yeah, that's it.
This movie is like catching up with old friends. Whenever you see,
You know what,
kind
you
of-
guys? Thank you so much. And should you need me,
Should you need me? Oh my goodness. Thanks for coming on our show again.
thank you
This
for
was
coming
real-
over here.
I
It's
Yeah.
nice to have you in person. I feel
You've been
like
coming all over
we've been
everything.
talking to you over a FaceTime or Skype.
Well, and part of
call.
the reason, if people don't know, like part of the reason we've been referencing Drag Race so much is that we're like our little viewing party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
we used to watch Drag Race with each other every week.
we still talk about it all the time. I give you
Yeah.
my hot fucking takes. You get these text message
I mean,
treatises.
it brings us together as a community. Drag Race is really
Yes, uniting
bonded.
against the editors.
Yeah. And just production as a whole. Don't-
And Scott and I
don't blame the
starred
edit
in
girl.
several seasons.
Yes, yes,
In the
indeed.
audience.
Look them up.
Yep. See, that was All Stars 2, and what is it?
It was the
Sasha Velour.
the Michelle
The Michelle Visage
the
Rose.
Visage roast.
Yeah, audience members.
We saw Alexis Michelle bomb in person. It was incredible.
Oh my god! Don't blame the edit girl.
And I'm in when Laganja Estranja talks about kind of dry like your vagina.
Oh my
Kinda
God!
like
You
your
saw that in
vagina.
person. That's incredible.
I'm like snapping or something in one of them.
Oh man! Well, this has been so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we should
It was a
definitely
fun
do it
little
again.
trip to the desert.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm glad
movies
we
that
were
made us
able
gay
to
on
narrow down
location.
our thoughts to 4.5 hours, like a quick 4.5.
Yeah,
Our episode live
it.
from Joshua Tree. I love
Yes.
it.
that's it. Well, until we meet again, you can come on for something else. We'll think of some. I mean, I don't know what else is as iconic as Labyrinth, but
Well,
we'll
I
figure it
would
out.
if we can keep it like not Jerry Springer. If you guys ever do a Willy Wonka, I could argue for it being
Oh, we
queer.
can keep it not Jerry Springer. I don't know if you.
The second one is super. I will take my meds and I'll have my therapist on speed dial. But I think the second one is super queer when the two girls are going, let's be best friends.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
very like kitsch camp. But you guys are hilarious. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you for coming on. You've been very, very funny and informative. Thank you for all these hot,
Thank you so much.
hot therapist takes on this wacky movie. But it's been great, and we'll see you again maybe for Willy Wonka. But until then, it's time to say goodbye, Betty. And thank you so much for listening, everybody.
I love this movie.
I'm so glad we finally got around to recording.
It was a fun
Labyrinth.
episode. It was good to see Jared.
I can watch this movie any time of day, any day of the week. I'm glad to hang out with Jared. He had some awesome insights. So thanks for listening, everybody. That was really fun. And we'll be back next week as always. But right now, it's about that time.
For Patreon shout-outs.
We have a new patron. We'd love to say hello and welcome to the patron fam, to Jermel. Thank you very much for being a patron, buddy. So we'd also like to say hey to Melanie, Christopher, Esperanza, Nicole, Susan, JJ, Leighton, Shelby, Michael, Charlie, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emily, Millie, Aaron, Melinda, Jim, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino. Thank you so much for following us on Patreon.
I know that we have been late on the newsletter. We have a lot going on, but the newsletter will be out next week.
Yes, indeed. And possibly a brand new commentary track.
Yes.
And it might be out today.
I think that we're going to be doing
might be out today.
A commentary for the Dark Crystal to kind of go with Labyrinth.
Yes, indeed.
Do you remember
hand
when Emma Stone was doing press for La La Land and she had some stupid story on Graham Norton of like going in her trailer and watching she pronounce it Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Yep. I always think of that.
Well, we'll have our companion piece commentary track out soon enough. So if you want to check out all of our 20-plus commentary tracks, head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay. You can contribute to any of the levels. The $10 level unlocks the commentary tracks. Hey, if you want to just donate for 1 month, 30 days, listen to all the commentaries, sync them up with the movie. It's all good.
You can just listen to them in your car. You don't even need to watch the movie.
But it's really fun when you sync them up with the movies. It's like we're right there with you. But yeah, just listen to all of them, and then after the 30 days, cancel it. You're good to go. $10. Thank you so much. If you want to contribute monthly to just get them as they come, feel free. Anything we welcome so much. It all goes directly back into the show to keep the podcast up and running, and all of our equipment, in working order. So thank you to our patrons, and go check out all the wonderful tiers with supplemental material. We'd also love it if you would rate and review our show. Head over to Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, give us 5 stars.
Or you can also head over to Spotify and give us 5 stars now. We would love it if you wrote us a new review. One of our listeners, Disneyland Drew, I don't know, something's really weird with Apple Podcasts. The review's not posting, so I'm going to talk to you. I'll reach out to you shortly, and we'll figure out what's going on there. But if you write us a review, we'll read it on the air. We'll read it on one of the shows. So head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. That'd be wonderful. And hit those 5 stars. Always great. We'd also love it if you would subscribe on all of these social media platforms. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Movies That Made Us Gay.
And on Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. So go and follow us there. You can also follow us directly if you like. I'm Pete, and I am at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my Letterboxd.
Yes, indeed. Lots of fun reviews over on Letterboxd. So thank you so much for listening once again. Until next week, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye.